Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Amanda Quinn.
And my name's Laura Jackson.
And today's podcast, we are focused on sort of one of the buzziest things that I think is going on right now in in media, in social media. Everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. They're talking about AI. They're talking about how people are utilizing AI, how you could utilize AI in your day-to-day life. And so I thought it was really fitting to talk about how I believe, and I know you do too, that AI will never actually replace fitness coaches. And I think that this is such an important thought or an important conversation because so many times people are fearful of like, what's next? Will I become obsolete? Will my job become obsolete? And there are jobs for sure in this world that are definitely going to be replaced, whether it's happening now or it's going to happen in the future, but that will be replaced by artificial intelligence because of the functionality of those positions. And I think when it comes to coaching, there are ways that AI can help and support, but I don't believe that it will actually completely make coaching and trainers obsolete, like actual humans obsolete. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, I think AI is such a fascinating topic because first of all, there's such a huge reaction to it. Like some people are loving it and embracing it, and other people are completely resisting it. And I am such a huge believer in you have to be able to adapt, right? Especially if you are in business and in coaching, but just humans in general, right? The world is constantly changing and evolving. For some of us, change is easier to embrace than others. But I know that, it's not going away. So we either have to kind of figure out how to work with it or how it's going to benefit our lives and adapt and grow, or essentially it's like the whole, you adapt or die kind of thing in like survival, right? How animals in the wild, they have to adapt to the conditions, or you end up perishing. So not saying you're going to die if you don't adapt to AI, but it's that whole mentality, of trying to embrace it and finding a way that it can work with you. Because the thing that I really think about AI is it's still human driven, right? So even though it can spew out information, and even though you could say, hey, write me a meal plan or write me an 8-week fitness program, and it will, it's still number one driven by a human being. So you have to feed it the information, and it's just providing back information. The second thing is that it is not personalized. So yes, you can give it actually like a ton of data and start to personalize your programming and things like that, but there still is that personal touch. And the third thing is we as human beings still need human connection.
Yeah.
And we thrive on it, right? Human connection produces a hormone called oxytocin, which I was just writing this whole thing about. And oxytocin is essentially like the love hormone, the bonding hormone. When a woman is pregnant and she is breastfeeding, that is a hormone that makes you lactate and really bond with your baby. It also is this amazing hormone that counteracts cortisol. So they're like on opposite ends of the spectrum. Cortisol is our stress hormone. Oxytocin balances that out. So we always have to be focused on increasing our oxytocin, of course, for our overall health and our stress. So it's like that comes, though, one of the major ways to produce more oxytocin is human connection, conversations with people, physical exercise, being part of social groups, fitness classes, those types of things. So those things don't go away. So I always think from a coaching perspective, there has to be that human connection for not just, relationships, but accountability as well. And then the last thing too, is that we cannot work out, like we cannot AI our bodies to health. We still have to physically work out. We still have to do the reps, right? We're going to probably try to figure out a way that we can just AI ourselves to, optimal health. But the truth is we're in a health epidemic because people are not exercising, and they are not nourishing their bodies with the foods that they need. So the need for coaches is actually more than ever. So I feel like if you can embrace AI and use it in your coaching, not stress about it replacing your coaching, but learn how to use those tools to make your coaching even better, and you have that human connection, you're going to like completely explode during the next few years.
I agree. And I think, with all of your points, and I think too, when I think back also to even just like when Fitbits came out and Apple Watches and stuff like that, like where they had health trackers on it, a lot of people were apprehensive at first, thinking, is this really going to track it? Is it really going to be accurate? But then a lot of people really embraced it. And I think it's going to be the same thing with AI, where people will see the benefit to it, but they will also see that it only takes you to a certain point. Right.
Yeah.
And I think like, again, those trackers, those Fitbits, all that kind of stuff was almost like the beginning stages of it. And now it's just getting more and more fine-tuned, if you will. And there's actually this one app, it's called Future, and it's a PT app. So it's a personal training app that is designed to build customized programs. It's, it helps, because the benefits of it is that it helps to adjust training programs daily to account for external factors. So if a client is having high stress or strain or bad sleeps, or they need recovery moments, it really can like adapt and change it on a day-to-day basis, which to me, I think is super cool. And I think is like such a great benefit. But again, going back to, some clients, that's all they need is like a training plan. And there are going to be people that just like that works for them, and that's all that they need. But majority of people, I believe, that hire coaches are looking for the other pieces. They're looking for the human connection. They're looking for, that it's not just about the workout. It's not just about like giving them the piece of paper or giving them the tool. It's about giving them the connection, the path, the accountability, creating that like motivation and building communication tools, like all of those things that come with having a real human behind it, as opposed to just AI. But then when you think about it, as a trainer, like if I was coming into this world, if I was an aspiring coach, and I think about this even like with all the people coming into our academy right now during our summer self-study, our summer fast track, that's like our shameless plug. But during this time, I think about it from the lens of, if I was coming into this coaching and I was like, I'm brand new to this world, I would definitely want to use those tools, because what it would do for me is it would probably provide me with some like really reliable information for my clients specifically. It would probably fast track me in so many ways where, rather than me sitting down and calculating certain things, or, trying to figure out their stress levels or how much they've been sleeping or tracking things, I'd probably try to build some sort of a tracker using AI, give it to my clients so that I can monitor their feedback from AI, and I don't have to be the one monitoring it. It's more of me just like overseeing it, as opposed to me being tracking it, if that makes sense. So, and also what it does is it also gives you a realistic picture of what is really happening in your client's life. Because sometimes people, if they're wearing, like, think about the people that are watching, that are wearing like Fitbits, and then they go to sleep at night and they think like, oh, I got 8 hours sleep. But then their Fitbit is saying, well, no, you actually only slept like 6 hours because you had such restless sleeps and you were only actually getting quality sleep. Having that information as a coach to help someone really understand what's happening in their body, I think is so powerful. So I think that there's different ways of looking at it, but I just don't want people to feel afraid of AI, or afraid that AI is going to just like make trainers obsolete. Because I think that if anything, if you embrace it, it's only going to help you move forward even faster as a coach.
Well, yeah, like I see it still, as the fact of, you're still the coach. You have to deliver the accountability, the motivation, the information, because we are at no shortage of information. Like if somebody wants to download a plan, if you are completely self-motivated and you want to go download a workout plan off the internet for free, you can do that in a second. That is not the problem, is the plans and the programs and the information. It's why people are not doing it, right? Which is why they hire the coach, because they need that guidance. They need someone to sift through all of the information. They need someone to personalize the plan. They need someone to, create an environment that's really awesome for them to be in, that they want to be a part of. They need a coach to help them through their obstacles of why they're not sticking to it, or when they're traveling and all these things, right? Like that's where your expertise come in. If they just want to get a workout, like a basic workout of how, beginner strength training program, 3 days, 5 days a week, you can download that easily. Like I always think of this, we are not at a crisis of information or how to do anything. Like I always find it so fascinating when someone's like, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, you can find out how to build, a bomb on YouTube. Like you can figure out how to
want to ever do that.
Yeah. And that's not the problem. It's funny because I even was listening to, this interview with Gary Vee this morning, and I sent it to you.
Yeah, I haven't
It's
had a
about
chance.
social media, but he was talking about, he compared it to health and fitness, which I thought was so fascinating, because he was saying how, essentially there's so many people who are not doing social media. They're leaving so much market share on the table, and they're wondering why they're not getting to where they want to go. And every single person needs to get over the fact they don't like social media and do it if you have a business. So he was giving the example, though. He's like, it's like me with my health and fitness journey. So he was like, he started his health and fitness journey at 40. And he was on a plane coming back from, his business was very successful, but he was physically so unhealthy at 40. He was extremely like holding on to a lot of extra weight for his body. He was having heart palpitations. He was exhausted. He was, basically saw, like, in that moment, he was like, I see the trajectory of, like, I probably will not live till 60 at this level of stress and like all this stuff. So he decided that day he was going to start his health and fitness journey. And he started working out that day. He's like, I know myself and I am not accountable to myself. I have to be accountable to other people. So he's like, I literally have hired someone to be my full-time babysitter when it comes to my health, which is basically his coach. He's like, and I work out with him every day. And I've been doing this for 18 years and I still hate it. And I still hate doing it every day, but I still go and do it. And it's the same mentality of, you know what I mean? Like with social media, the idea of like, if you hate, like you have to do certain things you hate, you just got to get over it and do it. But I loved how he was talking about this too, about how the idea of, he's got all of the resources in the world. He's a very motivated human being. He could have access to all the AI that he wants to support him. And he still has to have a coach there with him every single day because he does not want to do it, but he knows he should do it for his health. And
Right.
that's where, thinking about the future of coaching, like people are always going to need to be accountable. Like I know so many people who are like that, who are like, just tell me, how do you go to the gym? At 6 o'clock in the morning, before your kid wakes up, before your husband wakes up and you want to sleep, how do you go? And I'm like, I literally just decide in advance that I'm going and I make myself go. Like there is no fancy thing around it. But I know I've created a system of accountability, right? Which is where too, a coach, no matter how much AI a client has, how much access they have to information, they still have to go and do the thing. And that's where coaching comes in, right? So I always encourage any new coaches, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions, right? Because people are trying to sell stuff too. So they're like, fitness coaching is dead. AI is the way to go. And blah, blah, blah. They have these big dramatic statements that get more eyeballs on their marketing, right? It will never die. It's just about adapting. Like I was saying at the beginning, how do you implement that into your coaching? So I think 3 ways to implement it that are just so amazing is, number 1, it can fast track your ability to create content. So if you're a coach and you're looking to get new clients and you're doing social media content, you have to direct it still. But let's say you're like, okay, can you help me write, 50 posts for my Facebook group around, holistic weight loss or around HIIT exercises for women over 40. It can fast track that. You still have to look at it and confirm, because it's just pulling information from, like, it's not a person, right? You still have to personalize it to your people and double check that it's correct, but it will fast track that for you, right? If you're like, okay, I have this program that I've written and I want to create the next level of it, right? Like I want to create, I want to progress it, right? So progressive overload. In order for our bodies to continue changing, we have to continue changing the external factors. So it's also called, I think it's hermetic adaptation. Like our body adapts very quickly, which is why, you lift weights the first time, you're extremely sore. And then you lift it, after 2 weeks, you're like, I don't even feel it after I come back from the gym. You have to constantly be changing, whether it be the amount of reps, the amount of sets, the amount of weight, the body parts you're using, like all of that stuff comes into it. We teach all of this, of course, in our certifications. But if you want to progress your program, you could talk to AI and say, hey, like I have this version of this program. Can you recreate this for me in a progressed version? It can help you with that. It also can help you with writing client emails and doing, like preparing for your fitness classes. Give me 10 great ideas to make my burpees super fun and interesting. It will come up with ideas. So it's almost like I treat AI like an assistant. That's the way I think of it. I don't think it as a replacement.
You actually call it your assistant.
I call it especially for marketing, right? Like I'm like, hey, I have this idea. can you give me, 10 different versions of this? Sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes they're not at all, but it just helps with the idea process too, because you have someone to bounce ideas off of, and then you can then take what works for you and then scrap what doesn't work. But it really, to me, is about like having that additional thing that will help you fast track in your business, especially around the business side of coaching, not just your coaching.
Right. And I agree with all of that. And I also think, just back to the other point that I said earlier too, where, if you have clients where it's important for you to look at it from a holistic standpoint, having them track in some sort of a tool, if you find an AI tool that you can then have them download, they use it as a tracking mechanism, and then you use it as a monitoring mechanism. So you can kind of see their information, because it's going to give you the most accurate information, rather than, especially if they don't have to input it. Like if there's some sort of like a tracker, kind of like how Fitbits do it and things like that, because then you're going to get information that's going to be 100% accurate. They won't be like, oh, I forgot about this, or I forgot, because it's so easy for people on a day-to-day basis to just forget, especially if they're on a health journey and things like that. So then you're getting the full clear picture, which will only help you as a coach to be able to coach them further, help them in maybe areas that might be like blind spots for them that they might not even see, that might be affecting their overall health. So definitely agree on all of that. And then I also think this, but I just, going back to the thing you said about Gary Vee, I think it's really too, the message is like, you have to adapt, you have to embrace, you have to grow. And it doesn't mean you have to do all of it, but just be open to it. Be open to the idea of what it can do for you as a coach, what it can do for your clients, what it can do for your business.
100%. And I also just wanted to add too, is that, like I said earlier, you're not going to be replaceable, because we cannot somehow just infuse a pill or a needle that says your body has exercised. Your clients still have to physically do the exercise, right? They still have to do the thing. So you're always going to be there to be able to teach a class, to be able to personal train. I mean, we've even seen it with the fact of like over COVID, there was such a rise in the spend of Pelotons, which not just the cycling side of it. Peloton has, all the classes that are full body strength training classes, yoga, bar classes, they've got everything, right? Running. And now what has happened? Their sales are completely down, and no one's using any of these pieces of equipment because it has nothing to do with the outside thing. Fitness is an inside job as well. And that's where coaching comes in.
Yeah. I love that. Well, with that said, we're going to end this podcast for today, because I feel like that's a great note to end on. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to Fit Chicks Chat. We'll see you again next week. And of course, we do have our summer fast track program open. So if you are ready to sort of embrace that side, and you're an aspiring coach, you're ready to get certified, make sure that you go to fitchicksacademy.com, where you can learn more about both of our certifications and our summer fast track option.
And make sure also, we haven't talked about this yet, we actually have our Become a Fitness Coach week happening next week. So we have right now, you can get your free ticket to our Become a Fitness Coach. It's a 4-day free live event with me and Amanda, where we're going to be talking all about holistic fitness coaching, how to become a fitness coach. We'll be sharing a little bit about, of course, this stuff too within it. But it's going to be 4 days of teaching and training for any aspiring coaches out there who want to see behind the scenes of what it's actually like to fitness coach. If you're wondering if this is your next step, go to fitchicksacademy.com/coach week. You can grab your free ticket, and then you can join us August 15th to 18th for the live virtual event.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. And we'll see you inside Coach Week.
Bye.